Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am super excited to have you here. I'm excited about the conversation we'll have today. This afternoon, we are going in online roundtable discussion. We discuss some case studies predetermine the possibility of how students perceive physical education and sports nowadays and experiencing mental health challenges amidst of COVID-19. Okay. I am your moderator for this afternoon. I am Miss Ashley Joy Cereza. And for the legal person representative, we had a Miss Mary Joy Almoradi. Good afternoon. And the educational person representative, Mr. Jericho Hilario. And in global person representative, Mr. Leonard Harden. And lastly, the practitioner person representative, Miss Catherine Tiwa. Okay. Um, we are going to online roundtable discussion. I prepared I prepared some um five rules. Rule number one, don't say anything that embarrassing and foul words. Number two, no interruption. And number three, in each question we had 3 to 5 minutes only to explain it. And then number four, as much as possible, you can explain it in English. And lastly, I count you on 5 seconds. If you hindi na kayo nakapagsalita ay magka-count ako ng 5 seconds and then magpo-proceed na tayo sa other person. Okay? For the scoring, each question we have a 5 points. If you deliver it, explain it na-explain mo ito ng maayos, na deliver mo ng maayos, makakuha kayo sa akin ng 5 points. And each deduction is equivalent to 1 point. That's all. Okay. So we proceed in our question number 1, which is before that, I divide you into 2 groups. This in 2 groups, each group there's 2 member. Okay, Miss Almoradi and Jericho, group 1, and then Mr. Leonard and Miss Catherine, group 2. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute to think what is your group name of your group, rather. So, okay na? Nakapag-isip na ba ang bawat grupo?
Yes po.
Okay, Miss Almoradi, what is your yung name yung grupo nyo?
For us, our team name is Team Rocket.
Team Rockets. Okay, it's nice. How about the group number 2?
In group number 2, our team name is WABA-PET.
Waba Pet? Pet?
Yes po, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Ang cute naman ng ano nyo. Okay, we start in first question. First question. What are the common observations, practices, causes, and risk factors for physical education and sports in a school setting, challenges, and issues amidst COVID-19 among Bataeños? Okay, we proceed in group number 1. Okay, I'll give you this platform to share your ideas and thoughts about this question. Okay, Miss Mary Joy, you can proceed.
So thank you for the question. So proceed to the answer. So as a legal personnel or as a legal representative, um, since um, since we are in the midst of pandemic, so the school has been um, not allowed a face-to-face classes. So before, according to the RA 7977, which is the an act of length the school calendar from the 200 days, not more than 220 classes of days. So naka-indicate doon that we have to consume the specific date for entering the classes or enrolling our students for the class. Then, because of pandemic, na-delay yung enrollan and then parang nagkaroon tayo ng late enrollees that time. So, parang nag-start ata yung enrollan which is around September, if I'm not mistaken, September, and then the rest. Tapos, um, the the summer class is not just bakasyon. Hindi siya ginawang bakasyon, but still continue the modular na meron tayo. And then, yun ang one of the observation that we have. And then, another observation is that, according to the statistic, in 2021, recently, in WHO, obesity is one of the biggest problem that we have encountered this quarantine or the lockdown, since people are not allowed to go outside and they're staying at home, and then no, as in no one is no one is allowed to go and to make money. So maraming mga kumpanya ang nagsara from that time, and then marami ding mga establishment that have been forcibly closed, so we don't have choice just to stay at home. So ang problema doon is that we're nag-risk factor siya sa physical education and sports, since we are not engaging in physical activities, since sinarado nga yung mga parks and then yung mga establishment like a gym, di ba? So, we have no choice just to stay at home. Pero yung mga activities kasi sa loob ng bahay is not just that, although nakakatulong siya, but it's not truly developed yung mas kinakailangan talaga ng tao. So, pero pwede gawin sa bahay yung activity. So, obesity, according to McQueen 2021, they called obesity in the midst of pandemic is COVID-obesity. So, this is a present rate to threat the humanity that needs immediate action. So, di porket COVID lang yung kalaban natin, we need to be healthy at all. Kasi before, wala pa naman pandemic, marami talaga nang i-issue sa obesity. But since na-lockdown tayo and we can do anything, we just stay at home, we doing nothing. So, the cases of obesity is high or risking. So, as a legal personnel, so we that is the observation that we have for today as one of the risk factors in PE and sports. So next, Mr. Jericho.
Yan, good afternoon, Jericho again, by the way. The impact of COVID-19 on education, sports event, and the application of social development. To safeguard the health of athletes and others involved, most major sporting events at international, regional, national levels has been cancelled or postponed, from district to national athletics, championship to basketball games, even in the physical education events or Department of Education events uh, such as Palarong Pambansa and National Festival of Talent and more. And the Olympic also, Paralympics and Olympic, for the first time in the history of the modern games, has been postponed and will be held in nakaraang taon, which is yung 2021. It means that the COVID-19 has an impact not just in our normal health rather, but also in our educational event, even if it's national, regional, or division. Here in Bataan, there was also an impact, which was the sport in Bataan, even it is educational and non-educational. were postponed. It is evident in our school year where we are not able to graduate face-to-face and in sports are also not able to adjust immediately, so it was postponed several times. But in year 2021, many sports have been able to adjust, but it is not the same as before, and we call it now new normal, which is which is everything is almost just running online. Online tournament, online class, online sport, just like palarong pambansa and endpoint, and po National Festival of Talent too. And I think based on my source that the palarong pambansa is planned doing online and pot or National Festival of Talent are doing in online too. And I think that it is better than we don't. It is better that we have an online online palarong pambansa or online import better than we don't have educational event. And as I said before, many department of education events such as palarong pambansa has been postponed in year 2020. According to my reference, the Marikina City government has decided to postpone in year 2020 palarong pambansa as what national and local government strengthen efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus disease, putting the safety of the athletes and their families first. Marikina City Mayor Marcy Teodoro suspend the Palarong Pambansa 2020 and maybe because of the threat of posed by COVID-19. It means that the batayin nyo as an impact because many things just ended nothing because of the pandemic, and we all know that the Palarong Pambansa is nandun lahat ng regional, and Bataan is one of the participant of this Palarong Pambansa. That's why Bataan has an impact in postpone of Palarong Pambansa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Group 1. I'm agree with you, Mr. Jericho, talagang pinostpone talaga nila ang mga tulad niya ng palarong pambansa, pinostpone talaga nila para hindi tayo mag-spread lalo yung COVID dahil lang sa sa sali natin sa palarong pambansa. Then, ayun. Okay, we proceed on in group number 2. Mr. Leonard.
Good afternoon, by the way. I'm Leonard Harden. So, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus as a disease last 2019. So, it called COVID-19 to the public. And by January 30, the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 as public health emergency of international concern on January 30, and it became the world pandemic. So last March 11, 2020, it declared pandemic all over the world. So one of the causes or one of the symptoms of COVID-19 is cough, sneezing, and sore throat, along with the fever and fatigue. So with this kind of disease that the world is facing right now, lots of events of physical education like Olympics are cancelled, and it is because they need to protect those athletes to this kind of pandemic. And I do agree that I do agree in Team A that because of this pandemic, ang daming na-cancel ng mga palaro, ang daming mga events that athletes are passionate to do with. And lots of them are facing this kind of pandemic that they don't know kung kailan sila makakapaglaro uli. Like sa palarong pambansa nga. And sa larong pambansa, the Bataan is one of the most competitive, I think, one of the most competitive province in our country that compete in palarong pambansa. And I think when I was in grade 8, I nabalitaan ko na meron ng taga-Bataan na nanalo sa palarong pambansa. And that is the biggest observation that I see, na ang daming mga mga athletes na gustong maglaro and hindi sila makapaglaro kasi nga this pandemic is naglalagay ng barrier sa ating mga atleta. Ayun lamang po. So, here's my partner, Catherine.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Leonard Harden. So, as the COVID-19 pandemic started and accelerated its spread, a panic started in all areas of human life, and as a result, daily life could not continue as its normal pace, and some restrictions were encountered. That's why we called it nowadays a new normal. No, nasa ano na po tayo, new normal na panahon. Ito na po yung, this is what, ito na yung gumigising tayo na ganito na online, through online tayo, nag-aaral, um, uh, online, we do our jobs online, yes, um, and then, in this pandemic, which spreads from person to person, face-to-face education has been suspended and almost all over the world. As education activities are carried out face-to-face by nature, previously considered mostly within the scope of education, adult education, yes, that's amidst of COVID-19 pandemic, teachers are having a hard time figuring out how to do sports, or how to make a program of sports activities and events without having close contact with each other, uh, athlete to athletes. Yeah. According to the study of Dumisani Wilfred, MQ Chinaza Olienya, Yuseni Selim Pilod Dup, sport and extracurricular activity happening during irregular lunch breaks of a normal school day. Back when we don't have COVID pandemic, we actually play during lunch break. As a former athletes, we play. I play basketball during lunch break or after lunch break. So um, next is this poses many unanswered questions about the ability of primary school teachers to manage various sporting activities and other major events requiring close contact while adhering to social distancing guidelines and other related health protocols for minimizing the rate of infections among teachers. Um, ayun, health protocols, schools, health teachers, to minimize the infections, 'di ba? Para hindi na ma-infect yung ibang teachers and other students, they decided na mag-lockdown na lang. Na gawing online na lang, um, gawing online na lang yung classes. So, they decided that. So, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On group 1 and number 2. Okay, let's proceed in question number 2. Question number 2. What are the regulating and statutory policies and guidelines that examine social and economic determinants of PE of Bataenians? Okay, group 1. Miss Mary Joy.
So thank you for your next question. As a legal personnel, as a legal representative, so the practice that we have, or the principles and guidelines that we have to examine social and economic determinants of PE and sport is that we have our own etiquettes, and we have our own protocols that we usually do just to protect ourselves in getting infected by the COVID-19. Since the cases of COVID-19 has increasing day by day, so we have to follow, especially as an individual. So uh, we don't want to risk ourselves or to risk our health just to do socialize, to do gatherings, to attend something event that we might take the risk of our health. So we have different ethical guidelines that we need to follow just to avoid getting infection, especially especially when it comes to physical education and sports. Since nagkaroon ng holiday, and then everyone has the ability to go outside and has proven I have the rights to go somewhere and do activities, especially first time nating nakalaya, di ba? So we have the urge to do places in different places just to get enjoy. Kasi baka akalain natin this is the last chance. This is the last time that we're going to out. So susulitin na, di ba? So but in the wrong way, since nagkaroon ng cases of new variant of COVID-19, which is the Omicron, mas tumataas lalo yung cases ng COVID, nawala na tayo ng ng pagkakataon just to get outside or just to be free to do things we need to do. So, but hindi porket may COVID, we can do anything na. We have to do vaccination. We have to do vaccine. We have to inject vaccine so just we can protect ourselves. So follow the guidelines, the IITF protocol, like wearing a face mask or even a face shield if ever ipapanukala ng batas ay ng municipal. So that's but in Bataan. So since uh what have you said na yung Bataan is one of the participation in sports. So kasama tayo doon. So we have in born in athletes sa Bataan. So we need to protect our athletes. So we have to think ways kung hindi man kaya na sa bahay gawin, we have to plan those things na pwede nating gawin kahit in the gym or in the practice. What do you call that? Practice. Kung saan nagpa-practice yung mga athlete. Okay. Then, what else? Um, yeah, that's all. Mr. Jericho?
Yan, yan. We all know that we're still level 2, which is our place for event is quiet, spacious, and spacious, or medyo maluwag sa mga activities and gatherings. And as Miss Almorati said, you said that due to the holiday, which is Christmas and New Year, the number of cases of COVID-19 has increased, and the government has the power to change the policy or the protocol. And that is why Bataan will be level 3 in January 9. Instead, we will still in level 2 until January 15. See the impact of increasing COVID-19? All the stuff will be changed, and the plans like face-to-face classes, activities, sports will be postponed again. We know that in January 2022, there will be a limited face-to-face class in many places, such as Bataan. In January, we know that we have limited face-to-face classes, and that all there is to it. Because of the holidays and the girl who violate the COVID-19 policy, or she called it population girl, the number of cases increased and almost face-to-face classes has been suspended again, especially in Metro Manila. And here in our place, which is Bataan, has an impact too, because because students restricted school attendance based on their program, like for example is in nursing. they need to go to school because of they need a laboratory. And for example, is again is PE student or physical education major. They need to go to school because they need to, they need stuff that connects in their program, just like that. And I think more sports and also educational event will be postponed again. Is it because of increasing COVID-19? And I know that here in Bataan, is we have 22 active cases only, and I think 22. 22 is the lowest uh, we got in December. And but after the holiday, which is the Christmas and New Year, it increased into almost 500 active cases. See the difference, 22 to 500. And it is alarming because many staff and restricted policy will come back again, like face shield and strict lockdown and other activities like gatherings. That's all. Thank you po.
Okay, alam niyo 'yun yung epekto ng ano, ng hindi tayo sumusunod sa guidelines, yung mga ano, mga kailangan nating gawin, ayun yung epekto, ayun yung mga nangyayari sa atin imbes na makapag face to face na tayo because dahil tumaas lalo yung case natin, naging 50-50 pa tuloy yung face to face natin ngayon sa Bataan. Dahil diyan magle-level 3 ulit tayo. Okay, we proceed in group number 2. Mr. Leonard.
Good afternoon again. The question is, what are the regulation and statutory policy and guidelines that examine social and economic determinant of PE at Pataenians? And I think it is because the guidelines are uh, mabuti. The guidelines are one of the guide that we can use for us to be safe. And I think it is ang nagpapa-difficult lang, ang nagpapahirap lang ng sitwasyon natin is us. As people. Because sabi nga ni Jericho Hilario kanina, there is this girl that she came in our country, although she is a Filipino, then she traveled. I think she go to US and come back in our country. And in our country we have these guidelines that you need to quarantine in 14 days before you go anywhere, before you go. And I think uh, there is also a swab test before you enter the the city, before you enter the Manila. And that guidelines is one of the most important thing that we need to obey, because that guidelines is ay pwedeng makapagsalba ng napakaraming tao. Those guidelines uh, sundin lang natin yon, mapapanatili natin ang pagbaba ng cases ng COVID-19. And that girl that girl is she violated the guidelines and the policies that we have here. She violated that. She paid the quarantine center and go party all the way that she wanted. You know what? For me, the problem is us, because the regulations, the statutory and policy and the guidelines are super strict. And I think the national government should be aware of this kind of thing. Kasi tayo lang naman, tayong nasa class A na sa society, ay hindi naman natin kaya magbayad for us to go to for di naman natin kaya magbayad sa quarantine center ng ganon. And kailangan natin siya sundin kasi hindi tayo makakalabas ng quarantine center kung ganon. And I think I stand for what I stand na People is the problem, and I think that is it. Ayun lang.
Yes, I
Kathleen?
agree to Mr. Leonard Harden. The problem is the people who didn't protocols. Uh, it is easy to us to wear face masks, face shields, but some other people, mas pinipili nila na wag gawin to dahil sobrang ulit nila, 'di ba? Katulad nga nun, na yung sinasabi nilang viral, no? That's why in teachers in physical educators education teachers having a hard time, no? Um, doing some programs or um, physical education teachers have been trying to improve their teaching skills to cater to the requirements of the students' physical education curriculum. Because dahil nga mahirap, di ba? Mahirap, um, it is hard to for us to have a face to face, no? That's why physical education teachers naghahanap sila ng mga way to para yung physical education is maging exciting pa rin. Parang para maglagablab pa rin ganon yung kanilang ano at sundin pa rin yung mga protocols na yes, Mr. Harden, Leonard Harden.
And I agree with Catherine, because physical education is one of the most difficult courses that we had. Physical education, kailangan ito yung face to face, the socialization that na nagawa na ng other batch. Kailangan ito yung agarang pagtutuon ng mga guro. Because if you want to be a a uh, if you want to be the best PE teacher, you need that. And uh, this kind of thing that we had right now, the online based learning is so hard. Lots of students are dropping the course because they didn't see the way that others see when the pandemic ay wala pa, nung pandemic ay wala pa, hindi na nakikita ng mga estudyante yung kahalagahan ng pag-aaral ng physical education because of the pandemic, kasi ang daming limitations. And I think we help the government, if we help the government, if we obey the rules, the policies, the guidelines, makakabalik tayo sa dati nating gawin. Ayun lang po.
Yes, can I add something? The challenges confronted by physical education teachers for planning and conveying the online classes need some cooperation from society, just like Mr. Leonard Harden said. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nag-iinit ng ano, dito sa platform natin, okay? We proceed in question number 3. Question number 3. What platforms, best practices, interventions, mechanisms to identify physical education and sports, and socioeconomic consequences of poor preparations on academic and health emergencies like COVID-19 for Bataeñons? Group number 1, again, Mary Joy.
Can you repeat the question?
Again, what platforms, best practices, interventions, and mechanism to identify physical education and sports and socioeconomic consequences of poor preparations on academic and health emergencies like COVID-19 for Bataenos.
So thank you. So from answering the questions number three, what the best platform or best practices is that what we have today, which is the online classes or um, doing activities in online. But although it is a best practice or it is a best platform that we have for today, it still give poor quality and what is um poor quality of tawag dun? um poor quality of example na lang is the online classes or the distance learning or the synchronous classes. So although it is best, everyone or have the communication, students and teachers have their own talking about the lessons or the activities. Um, but thinking about students that are not attending, some students is not accessing the internet or they don't have gadgets just to be able to assess the education, they have the quality of having a poor what do you call it? Poor records of development. Kasi kung different from the traditional, which is yung face-to-face classes, they really have the differences. Although nasa pandemic tayo, so we have no choice but to think other way to still continue the education, especially the teachers. So we have since Pilipinas, since Philippines is one of the most parang hindi man siya ganun ka kayaman na bansa, but still we can makipagsabayan, di ba? Yung kulang tayo sa gamit. We have lack of things to have since COVID dumating. So there's a time that everything is not planned, and then they're just in a blink of the eye and a blink of the day, and then everyone is locked down. You don't have to you can do anything, you can go outside, and then even teachers have not yet ready. Di pa nga tayo nakagraduate nung nag-lockdown, di ba? Wala pang marcha. So hindi na paghandaan. So that's the other problem of this. So although may mga best tayo, may gadgets, may radio, may internet, what else? There's the support of the teacher, the support of the government, the support of municipalities of still continue the education. But when we look at it in our own point of view, it's still hard for us to have those in our life. So as a person, 'di ba? Mula elementary, you know how to be a student. You know the struggleness, yung mga dumbbell mong klase, yung late of attending class, nandoon lahat experience. But still in COVID, there's a pandemic. We can't do those. We can't feel being student. We're just attending online class and then okay, giving the modules. Okay, that's all. So government still thinking about the better ways, but still there's a negative of it. There's a poor development of it. Hindi siya 100%. Parang COVID vaccine. Ba? Sa vaccine, they're not really sure about the positivity of this. They're just a way to prevent the COVID, right? So same as the government of doing all those years for almost how many years na ba? 2 years of being in a COVID. Magti 3 years na tayo, everyone. So, biruin nyo, sobrang tagal na, but still, government had do their thing, they do their best to give the Filipino the best, to rest assured the safetyness, the great way to still continue the education, to still continue the life of every Filipino. But hindi binibigay ng 100%. There's still a negativity side, the poor side, the poor quality, what do you call? That's what I have say is that government do all things we need to have to the right that we need to achieve, but still it's not just 100%, but we need to do the things just to continue the life that we have, the education that we need to access to continue the life that we still striving for. So that's all. Thank you, Mr. Jericho.
So ayun, COVID-19 pandemic forced an unprecedented global shutdown that closed schools for months, but almost 2 years right now. And in many nations, schools were closed to students and teachers directed educational activities remotely via digital device, homeschooling resources, and that is the this is the isang paraan ng mga government, which is the digital devices or homeschooling resources. While most school system normally require daily physical attendance during weekdays and bring students together in large group to learn in a collective endeavor. The closing of school and the months of social distancing have shifted the site of learning to the home, where learning happens primarily alone or with the help of family members through the technology available. Physical education and organized active recess time that would normally take place in school have been either cancelled completely or made a part of digital homeschooling. And in year 2021, World Health Organization prediction was true, which is the yung pandemic daw is mas dodoble pa daw, which is true naman because COVID-19 cases has doubled to its number. But the good thing in year 2021 is they prepared. They prepared and they prepared and nakapag-adjust sila. Unlike in year 2020 when everyone panicked and all activities and educational and non-educational were postponed, it was a long time before it's continue. And unfortunately, other activities are not really continued due to the complication of COVID-19 and a lot of stuff they need to do. And in April 2020, the United Nations Children Fund or UNICEF reportedly that about 3 billion people were in lockdown around the world, and that almost 90 of the student population was cut off from school, which is almost we all know that almost of our klase is nakapag-drop out, and one of my friends is ano two of my friends is drop out 2 years ago. And this is the disadvantage of online class. This is the best way of the best way to continue our school is online class, but it has a disadvantage, which is the many students had chosen to just quit and continue next year. And kasi we all know that akala natin isang taon lang talaga yung online class, pero ngayon umabot na siya ng 2 taon. And others are quitting and other is they chose to just work. And closing school has a range of adverse consequences ranging from disrupted learning, food insecurity for children who rely on open school for access to healthy foods, and increased exposure to violence and exploitation, alongside the challenge of creating, maintaining, and improving distance learning. Around the world, attempts to continue providing education to students very great due to the significant differences in access to technology, which could support remote teaching such as book, TV, smartphone, and the internet. An example of this kind of stuff is yung online class nga. Online class is the best way to continue the classes. And another is yung education channel, which is yung pinapalabas nila sa TV. And another is yung module. Kung hindi naman kaya ng mga internet is Department of Education we have a modular, which is hindi sila they don't need the gadgets because we have paper, which is modular. And I think the disadvantage of modular is yung hindi sila masyadong walang nag-ano sila, walang teacher na nagga-guide sa kanila because they are modular student. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, in addition lang 'no, maraming teacher ngayon sinabi ni Jericho na nag-o-online sila, mga gumagawa sila ng video and then pinapalabas sa TV. Doon lang nakakatuwa 'no na kahit nasa pandemic tayo, mahirap yung connection natin, pero still nandun pa rin yung education, talagang gumagawa pa rin ng paraan kung paano tayo makaka-survive, kung paano tayo magkakaroon ng knowledge na iba pang knowledge 'no. Okay, we proceed on group number 2.
Good afternoon again. For me, there is no best platforms for learning, and I stand to that. I don't see that this online classroom setting is helpful to any students. Why? Because there is an advantage. Also, there is a lot of disadvantage of this kind of learning. The advantage is, yes, we can learn the basics. We can learn how to use any kind of technology, any kind of uh, any kind of social media platforms for us to learn of anything that we need in our school. But the thing is, this kind of setting in learning, it produces of uh, a low quality of uh, any kind of professions, like doctors, nurses, teachers, uh, engineerings, the fisheries. Nagpo-produce to ng napakababang kalidad ng mga professionals. Hindi uh, hindi naman sa hindi naman sa binababa ko yung hindi naman sa binababa ko yung this kind of learning, but that is what I see. And uh, students are dropping the course because they didn't see that it is effective. Uh, um, by the way, I read an article last earlier in United States of America. Lots of students are not in the schools. They are working. They are working to survive to this pandemic. And I think na dito, nawawala yung karapatan ng isang mag-aaral na mag-aral, and they need to strive and they need to work to survive in this pandemic. And that is the most saddest thing that I see in this kind of platforms. And lots of events that uh, we expect that we expect to happen is cancelled. Lots of that is cancelled because of this pandemic, that we need to we need to be safe in this time of pandemic. And I think there is no best platforms, best what is that the best mechanism that uh, that we students need to learn, that we need to produce the best of the best of professionals. That's all. Thank you. Catherine.
So yes, thank you, Mr. Leonard Harden. Um, in the face of COVID-19, many millions of jobs are therefore at risk globally, and jobs, if we say jobs, um, kahit anong uri ng ano, 'di ba, trabaho, including teachers, no? Not only for sports professional but also for those in related retail and sporting services industry connected with leagues and events, which include travel, tourism, infrastructure, transportation, catering, and media broadcasting, among others. Um, I agree with Mr. Leonard Harden na there is no best platform, no, in this time of pandemic. So, according to research regarding online learning and teaching shows that they are effective only if the students have consistent access to the internet and computer. What if the students have no consistent access to the internet, students, and that's is not effective for them, no? Ibig sabihin hindi magiging effective sa kanila, no? So, computers and if yes, Miss Leonard Harden.
I would like to add something that uh, here at our country, which is the Philippines, I see that the government is trying their best to send and to produce a good quality access of internet. But but because of the increasing of COVID-19, hindi lahat yun napupunan. At kailangan nagkaroon ng budget for the whole year to survive this pandemic. And in US, lots of students are dropping the course and they need to have work for them to makapag-ipon para makabalik sila sa pag-aaral, which is they need to buy some gadgets for them to have a good quality of learning in this type of learning that we are facing right now because of the COVID. And for me, it is we all know that we all know, yes, we are in the new normal, but also the teachers are ang mga teachers, ang mga guru din ay nahihirapan in this kind of situation that we are facing right now, that they need to that they need to learn something new about technologies for them na makasabay sa mga estudyante. And lots of teachers uh, are also retiring, and they are also tired. And hindi naman na sinasabi ko na ang mga estudyante ay hindi dapat magreklamo, but we all need to see that teachers are also trying their best for us to have a good quality education even in this pandemic. Yes, Miss Catherine.
So yes, I agree that. But despite the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic, teachers continue to navigate the new normal in education, which demonstrate their resilience. In um, in this study, what I have searched, the descriptive correlation study determined the level of optimism, job stress, and emotional exhaustion of 150 teachers amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, and it analyzed the relationship among these three variables. Results that re- revealed resiliency among teachers amid the pandemic. Nagkakaroon sila ng high level of optimism and a relatively low COVID-19 induced jobs is stress, and they also having a emotional exhaustion level. That's so yeah, that's it. I want to add something pa, no. Um, I think we there are some plans that in this we need to do, no, like give schools urgent resources so that they can provide effective remote instruction and support at scale during the pandemic. No, we also can provide extra investments to help students in school make up lose ground as they return to in school operations. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Group 1 and group number 2. Okay, let's proceed. And the last question. The question is, share or present, propose, and explain holistic and integrative approaches to prevent academic crisis and management and ensure readiness on public health emergencies for Bataeños in the context of physical education and sports. Okay, group number 1, proceed.
So thank you for the question. So we have here a lot of proposed and a share um, approaches that prevent academic crisis and also to manage and ensure the readiness of the public health emergencies for Bataeños. So we have here recently lang, last year I think it is from Maribeles. There's a thing that Mayor AJ Concepcion create or organisa a volleyball athlete club of Maribeles at Maribeles Rainbow Alliance at this is made for 3 days. This is happened on 3 days. It's a volleyball league, and the theme of this organanza is promoting teamwork and sportsmanship in the middle of pandemic. So thinking of that, attorney AJ Concepcion really think a way to still continue the physical education and sports. Especially we have a lot of athletes here in Bataan. So thinking of this kind of activity, although we in the middle of pandemic, they can still continue the power of sports in Bataan. So we also have here in Maribelas National High School, school in Cabcabin, which is according to the publish of a teacher there, an interactive radio-based instruction, which is we are not all familiar, but this is kind of method that's still in existence since 1980, and it is a method that allows students who have difficulty to access educational resource, especially right now that we need a lot of things before we enroll in school. We need gadgets, we need internet connection. But here in interactive radio-based instruction in Maribeles and different parts of the rural province in our country, they use radio since radio is one of the most media, what do you call it? Media, basta. Radio is one of the media that can be used to share or to continue. They use it as a platform, a method just to continue the education in different places in the province, especially kapag malayo na kasi yung internet connection is not just is not just great. So tendency, some students are not enrolling, some students are not attending. So madalas dyan is that meron mga what do you call this, dropout or hindi talaga tumutuloy sa pagpasok because of there are lack of materials and there are a lot of lack of money just to access the education for now. But through the help of interactive radio-based instruction here in Maribeles and different parts of the um, different parts of rural province in the Philippines, we can still now think of ways to still continue education. What else? We also have a play-based learning approaches, which is the publication by Annalisa Paiste, Teacher 3 from Hermosa National High School. So play-based learning approach is one of the methods that the teacher use just to continue education for children children under elementary. So play based learning approach is happen sometimes mostly in school. But since there's a pandemic, we need to make it at home. So to the help of families, to the help of parents, they are the one who will guide their children just to still continue the learning, because teacher is the only way teacher is the one who will instruct, and then the student will do the discoveries and do the learning, especially through the help of their parents. So what else? I have also here learning hub. Learning hub is one of the site that can help also for having an access in education. But most of this learning hub, I think it's from private. So this it's very difficult. Pero since now we have public schools that we have module is also one of the way to prevent academic crisis that we have today. And what else? Last one is the curriculum. So we all know that teachers are Department of Education providing a curriculum that we need to follow as a teacher. So um, from that curriculum, teachers just only have is to create or to make the curriculum very simple, especially we are in pandemic, everyone is in online. So we don't have the chance to have a face-to-face classes. We can't create activities, especially PE and sports of subject. We can create activities that they are required to go outside to do socialize. So we need to think as a teacher or as a legal person, we need to think a best way to still have a curriculum, to still follow the curriculum and still achieve the objectives, but in school settings. So, I mean, home setting, so that everyone is safe, everyone is good, everyone has the access of the education. Thank you, Mr. Jericho.
Yes po, addition lang is I recommend the limited face-to-face classes, but in their place only, because I think it's the place or barangay has a low risk of COVID-19, and I think they can conduct a face-to-face classes, because in our case, like what there is in one, they can there is also in all. Parang ano siya, ah para siyang one one for or for one. Kumbaga paano kung ano yung isa pa, doon na po lahat. Parang ganun siya. And supposedly, it is a one policy, every one policy. Supposedly, the education of a place is affected even though they are low risk. Their area, like the place in Batanes, I think Batanes yon. Batanes where they never had a case of COVID-19 in year 2020. But they follow the policy where they also don't have face-to-face class, para siyang wala naman silang case and low risk sila, pero bakit na-experience din nila yung ano tawag doon? Protocol. Bakit na-experience din nila yung online class kahit na wala naman talaga silang case, di ba? So unfair. For me. But I think it is not reasonable to those government to think about the welfare of their people. That's why there are really look for a way to continue the student of the student. That is why there is online class. And the other one's and the other one is education channel, yung pinapakita ay yung pinapanood na sa TV. And but it is enough because not the student have the gadgets, and other student no one will teach them. If they choose modular naman is ano man other parents and other mga magulang nila is nagko-complain because ano other modular they can understand. And na-experience ko rin yan is I have a kasi na nagpapaturo sa akin and di ko talaga na-explain, grade 9 pa lang yun. Eh, ako naman talaga, di ko talaga siya alam. Kasi math yun, ganun siya. And, uh, understand, ayan nga. And, and I think the other way naman is if they not conducting physical classes, it is okay or possible to distribute a tablet just like what other place do. And each tablet is contain a video explanation na nakapload sa modular, parang ganun, or sound recorder. Because it's the other way to teach student. That's all.
Yes, Mary Joy.
Additional for the as association, legal associations of PBA, we are not allowing people to watch or to attend the basketball league sometimes because we protect the health of people, especially na yung mga nanonood. So, as to continue the sports in our country, PBA only allows the athletes to attend, but not yung mga supporters, hindi pwede yun. So, yun lang. Thank you po.
Okay, let's proceed. Group number 2, Mr. Leonard.
Good afternoon again. I believe I agree with what Mr. Jericho Hilario said, which is the limited face to face. I think it is more helpful than to do any kind of mechanism like this kind of learning mode right now that we are facing, that we are doing, that we had to meet in Google Meet for us to have the lesson for every day. And for if the limited face to face is pursue, I think it is more uh, mas nakakabuti siya at makakapag-produce siya ng mga professionals that is more effective for the future. And I think that is the one thing that DepEd and CHED should consider. Thank you. Miss Catherine
Yes.
Grace Diwa.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Leonard Harden. So I think we should redesign the system, no, to focus on nurturing the whole child, balancing cognitive with social-emotional skills development, and ensuring that all children have access to the conditions, that resources that enhance learning and development. So um, we should remake or make a new design or um, parang new idea, no, para gawin yung online class. I agree also with Mr. Leonard Harden that we should have limited face to face. No, we should have limited face to face because this COVID pandemic, no, online class, no, um, also have a bad may masamang sa atin, no, masamang naidudulot. Like teachers, they also prone to having a mental health disorder, as they find ways to deliver learning to all students. They are building mental health disorder. They must um, innovate and be resourceful in dealing with their students, especially those who are living in remote areas where internet connection is impossible. That's why we should redesign or rebuild, no, um, kasi dahil dun sa it's because of other students or other students that they don't have resources na katulad ng such as cellphones, gadgets, 'di ba? Na ano. So I agree also with Miss Mary Joy na because the radio because some of na kahit malayo sila, 'di ba? Ang kadalasang ginagamit they always um, use radio. It's mas madali itong gamitin, no? Mas madali siyang i-access. So, yun. Tsaka dapat they prioritize the health of the students and the teachers this time. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Leonard Harden.
I would agree for the radio and also for the limited face-to-face. I think if we pursue the limited face-to-face and uh, we should see if the places or the places that pursuing the limited face-to-face is safe for the students, and also if we conduct limited face-to-face, we should try to consider the students that is working also. I think that because a lot of students right now in our country, uh, they are working for them to have an income and para makaipon for them to enter the college and pursue their dreams. And I think that is the best thing that we can give to the students right now because of this pandemic. And if we also based on the radio, we also should um, put the parents beside the students for them to guide them and to guide them for another learnings that they will gain in that kind of holistic approach. Thank you.
Okay, well said. Thank you, Group 1 and Group 2. In, in total, sa kabuuan, in the midst of this pandemic, there's many challenges we face, problems, also in not just in physical and mentally, and also the ano, yung kung paano tayo kakain araw-araw. Siyempre maraming apektuhan, mga hanap buhay sa mga hanap buhay ng mga ano, lalo na mga frontliner, talagang nagbuwis-buhay sila para sa atin. And then, sa mga, dahil doon, there's many guidelines, yung IATF, nagbigay sila ng mga protocols so that we need to do it, we need to sumunod tayo para sa atin din naman yun, para doon magkaroon na tayo ng as much as ano, kung mas mapapaaga, mas maganda dahil magkaroon na tayo ng face-to-face, limited face-to-face kasi as an physical physical education, kailangan natin yung contact, yung socializing, yung pagkakaroon ng face-to-face class. And then, there's many competition that postponed nga. Yung mga sinabi niyo, totoo niya, maraming athlete, there's many athlete and coaches na talagang nahinto. Talagang yung mga pinagkakakitaan nila is talagang nawalan sila ng income. Dahil doon, syempre mas iniingatan natin yung health natin compare sa mga natin, passion natin sa mga paglalaro. And then, that's all. Okay, para magkaroon ng twist ang ating platform, I will give you 15 minutes in open and closed statement. If you had an clarification and questions sa mga sinabi ng bawat isa, okay, I'll give you this platform to open your mic. One by one, okay, one by one tayo magbigay ng question. Okay, we start in group number 2 naman kasi nauna na ang group number 1. Okay? Group number 2, if you have a question,
Oh yes, I have a
please proceed.
questions. I
Okay.
have a questions here. Um, my first question is like, do you think pandemic is one of the causes why people nowadays focus on their physical health? And that questions goes to Mary Joy. If if she could answer that.
Lang. Wait, can you repeat? I'm not ready.
Oh, sorry. This is my first question. Do you think this pandemic is one of the causes why people nowadays focus in their physical health or their fitness?
For now, thank you for repeating the questions. For now, yes, I think this is the one of the causes why people are engaging in physical activity. But if COVID pandemic is not strike on or hindi talaga nangyari, maybe why people are engaging in physical activities is because um, there's a lot of diseases that we have, and even before naman talaga some people are still participating in physical activity, and they still do physical activity whether there's no pandemic, even though there's no diseases, but they just do it just they want it, and they want it to be physically fit, because hindi naman ibang tao yung mag-aano nun eh. Ikaw yon sa sarili mo. You are you have your own reason. It's not just the pandemic. It's you. You have your own reason. You have your own um decision for doing activity. But for your question, yes, for now, yes, it is. COVID pandemic is one of those why people are really doing physical activity, are crazy doing physical activity just to protect themselves. Thank you.
I another follow-up question for
Okay.
Miss Mary Joy Almoradi.
Tang,
Um,
How kay Mary Joy lang talaga? 'Di ba puwedeng
ano ba sa partner ko?
okay, sige,
Partner!
sige. Okay. Okay,
Cherise.
sige.
Partner,
Proceed.
mag-ready
another
ka.
question. Another
Go, go.
another follow-up question for Miss Almoradi. What advice that anong advice yung anong advice yung maibibigay mo to the students who are studying the physical education or dreaming to be a physical education teacher someday? What is your advice for them?
For now, for now that I'm not a physical education teacher, but I'm
Yeah.
a student. But still, I can share, um, or I can advise something. It is just that you have to love what you have to do right now, because times is not short actually. You have all the freedom to do. This is your time. This is your time to shine. This is your time to do things that you love. Even though you don't like physical education, or no, you're just no choice but to take this course just to pass, just to have a job. But thinking of those na pinagdaanan mo from first year till up till now, and then eh, thank God na lang kung nakarating yung fourth year, di ba? So, thinking of those, mapapaisip ka na lang, yeah, I did a great job. Even though I don't like it, I I I learned to communicate. Marami ako nakilalang tao. Iba-ibang lugar pa yan, iba-ibang tsura, mga mukhang alien, but still, those people really help you a lot, really help you in your academics, your emotional, they support you. So, advice lang is one of those, mamahalin mo lahat ng ginagawa mo. Because time is not just limited, it's just not unlimited, it's limited. So, if you have time today, you have time tomorrow, do what you love, do what you have. Thank you.
Okay, very
Um,
well
Meron
my
pa?
said,
my
okay,
second question my second question goes to Jericho Hilario. Um,
Go, friend.
uh, do you think that this kind of approach in learning is effective, or do you have any alternative approach of learning that you can suggest to CHED or to DepEd? Thank you.
For me, I think this is the ano, uh, this also effective in this kind of platform is also effective because uh, just like just like a board exam or licensure exam, they they almost of the examiners are also examiners have passed the exam and almost of their sa top notch and I think that uh uh they are the one or they are the product of online class because they are also top notcher because they also experience on online class and I think this is the no I think that online class is the best way this is the best way to continue the class even it is not the best platform for education. Thank you.
Okay, may proceed
Thank you.
on in group number 1 naman.
So, ayun. We don't have
Okay,
time na,
okay,
di
okay,
ba?
okay. Last, hindi.
We,
Sige, you proceed, Miss Catherine.
so,
Last question.
napansin ko lang po kasi kanina, Mr. Hilario said that we should have online palarong pambansa. So, how can we execute that?
Uh,
Online
I'm not
palarong pambansa.
uh, I'm not saying that they conduct a plarong pambansa, but I say that they are planning and they are planning plarong pambansa because kasi this is the best way to mairaos the words na mairaos yung palarong pambansa and I think that I have no I have no idea how to conduct that kind of events because I did not experience that kind of activities. Thank you po.
Mahirap mag-conduct ng online palarong pambansa kasi unang-una maraming event na na contact as in volleyball, basketball, syempre contact sport.
Yes po.
Siguro 'di ba?
Yes
Magkakaroon
po
lang ng online if yung ibang sport like what kind of sport? Like Arnis in Anyo, yung video-video lang ng performance. Yung mga gano'n, limited sport lang ang pwedeng pero hindi natin matatawag na palarong pambansa kasi kapag tinawag na palarong pambansa, kailangan lahat ng sport is include, kailangan naglalaro lahat. Hindi kaya mas okay na yung hindi tinuloy yung palarong pambansa. Yes, Mr.
addition
Hilario.
addition lang po and I think siya. Pwede siyang tawagin na palarong pambansa if they are if the other places like Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao can join the palarong pambansa but the sports are limited and hindi lahat ng mga sports is pwedeng laruin like swimming, ice skating and some kind of activities po.
Yes. Okay. Group number 1, any question? You prepared?
Thank you. Jericho, may tanong ka ba? Ayun, may tanong
Yes.
siya. Go.
Yes. Ayan. I agree that there is no best platform for education, but Mr. Harden said that online class can produce low quality of profession. Then how about the board exam and kind of licensure exam that inserted into top notchers? And do you think that uh, they are low quality profession if even they are top notchers? They also experience online class po.
I think yung mga sinasabi mo is they experienced the face-to-face last years. Those students that passed the board exam is graduated last maybe last um, 2020 where the pandemic is um, raising all over the world. I think that I think also yes, oo, makakapasa ka sa board exam if you have the courage to have reviews, to study by yourself, yes, you can be a top notcher about that. But I think yung mga nakapasa ngayon is they experienced the face to face last 2019, where where they experience a lot of things that to they need for them to pass the exams. Also, I think there is also the help of the review centers about that, about how, because here in the country there are a lot of review centers here that can help you to to study by yourself. They will give you the papers. They will give you some what we call this, some module, I think, that you can review for you to pass the licensure exam. I think, did I answer your question, Mr. Hilario?
Okay, thank you po.
Yes, Miss Catherine?
Can I add something?
Okay.
Yes, I agree to Mr. Leonard Harden na the yung sinasabi ni Mr. Hilario said that there a lot of maraming nakapasa ngayon sa board exam. It's because they came from they experience face to face, no, bago sila yung mga graduate or graduate bago ang pandemic. So um na-postpone yung board exam. Kaya mahaba yung preparation nila. They have long preparation. They have many time to mag-review, to review, no? That's why many of them have passed. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question naman for all of you. Di ba sinabi nyo kanina na pagkatapos ng holidays, nagtaasan ulit yung cases ng COVID. And then may dumating pa na bagong virus. For you, which is, sino ang dapat sisihin? Yung mga tao o yung government? Yes, Miss Leonard?
I think it is the people, us actually,
Then why? Why?
because some of the Filipino is um, hard-headed. We this in our culture that we would like to do what we would like to do, like that. We have that kind of culture in us, and I think ang dapat lang nasisiyan is the government, is the people, the people itself, because the government is doing their jobs, doing their best to improve the quality of life here, even we are in the midst of pandemic. Kung hindi tayo matututo sa mga pagkakamali natin during the past, mamamatay tayo sa pandemic na to at mauubos tayo. If we obey the guidelines and the protocols, I think the COVID-19 will the COVID-19 cases will decrease. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mary Joy.
For me, I think it is the government
Why?
because we can do protocols if the government didn't announce the protocols that we need to do. And since Omicron is just new case, a new variant of COVID-19, I think the government is think the cause. I think the what do you call it? Dahilan. Kasi if they didn't from ano kasi they came from different country, right? The Omicron came from different country, and then they just attend in Iya airport, and just then the government just announced, or the news announced, that there's a Omicron virus, where they announced it for 22 cases na agad. So I think the problem is the government, because although they protect the panic of the people, but thinking of those, dapat people need to be aware. Even though may Omicron, so dapat sinabi ng government na, oh, may Omicron, there's an Omicron, so Philippine people should have to be secured, to protect your health, ganyan, ganyan, from the start. So that is, tapos then the protocol should, even though they lift up the alert level, they still need to do their job. Although kailangan din nila magbakasyon, syempre naman bakasyon din. But still, government have the power to do, and to what do you call this? To manage, to handle the people, to control the people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mary Joy. Mr. Jericho, what is your answer?
Yeah, and I think people sa as a problem, but I think that's the big problem. That's that the big problem here is the government, because just think of it. Do you think nalalabas ba ang mga tao kung di sila nangangailangan? And ayun, I think government has a problem because hindi nila masyadong binibigay yung kinakailangan ng tao. Ayun po. Kaya that's why lumalabas yung mga tao, and yun, sa paglabas nila is nagkakaroon po sila ng ng interaction sa mga ibang tao, and that's the reason why we have anong tawag doon? Nagkakaroon din sila ng COVID, parang ganun po. Yun lang po.
Okay, Miss Harden, additional? That's
Can I
the last
debunk
question. Remind of
Can I debunk
proceed, Mr. Harden.
Can I debunk the two of you? I think the main problem is that the budget itself, the budget, the people, and also the government. I think, because of this pandemic, lots of people get fired to their works. Lots of establishment close those their businesses. And I think if we had if kasi 'di ba tayo, kailangan natin talagang lumabas. Oo, kailangan talaga natin lumabas para bumili tayo ng makakain. Eh hindi naman pwede na lagi tayo nakaasa na ibibigay ng government, because may nakalaan na budget doon. And if the budget is not enough, then we should do something. We should do something for us to survive in this pandemic.
Yes, I agree with that.
And because of and because meron mga mayayaman talaga na makukulit ang kokote, na sabihin na natin, example na natin si Poblacion Girl. She came to the Philippines, and she paid the quarantine center for her to be able to go out to that. And that is wrong. And I think that these people that nasa higher class na society, they also need to put a limit for them, because lots of poor people in our country need to survive to this pandemic. They need to work. They need to go out to work for their family. And I think hindi natin pwedeng isisi lahat sa government, because they have the budget. Yes, they can give bigas, they can give sardines, they can give the 1 week supply. Pero aasa lang ba tayo sa 1 week supply? Sa 1 week supply na yon, kakasya ba siya through whole year? No. And because of this, the higher class society na laging pinapalampas siyempre kasalanan din ng government na pinapalampas nila, they need to abolish this kind of system na lagi pinapabura ng higher class people. Ayun lang. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Catherine.
So ayun
Last
na,
five
may add
minutes.
lang ako ng ano, may add lang ako ng konting-konti. So ayun, I agree that wait. I agree that merong pagkakamali both sides, no? Government and yung people of the Philippines, no? Kasi pinayagan ng in this holidays, pinayagan na, 'di ba? Nagluwag na yung government na pinayagan na yung mga tao na lumabas ng bahay, na maggala-gala. But I agree to Mr. Leonard Harden. They should have people should have na limit their no, they should have limitations no sa mga ginagawa nila. So ayun, siguro problema na nga yun na parang kasalanan na yun ng bawat na nagluwag sila at ang mga tao naman, di porket na nagluwag ang government, sisigi sila ng sisigi, di ba? So, ayan, siguro kasalanan din natin, di ba, na kaya lumobo yung ng COVID ulit ngayon at may bagong variant pa no. So ayun, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Catherine. Yes, Miss Mary Joy.
Last questions has come from our team because
Okay.
both of them naman nagtanong, di ba? So we have si Jericho lang kasi nagtanong kanina. So I have here questions for Leonard Harden and especially for Catherine, for their team actually. But I want answer for both. So I expect. So here's the question. According to what have you said is that face-to-face classes is not the best way of what call that teaching for now, or I think that's the term. Parang hindi best yung face-to-face as a I mean online classes or the synchronous classes as best platform for having an education. Both of you agree regarding that statement. And here's my question. So both of you not agree about the online classes or the online synchronous classes. So now the question is, what is the best right now? Since we're in pandemic, what do you think is the best way to have everyone have the access of education, so everyone have the thing that quality? Since you're not agree with online classes, so for you, the two of you, what can you suggest? Aside from radio, aside from online classes, what do you think is the way more better for you for now that we are in pandemic? In the midst of education, especially the PE and the sports. Yes.
The only way is the limited face-to-face class, no. For us sa physical education, mas madali para sa atin ang face-to-face kaysa online. 'Di ba nararanasan natin na lumalangoy tayo saan? Sa online class, no? We should have um, limited face-to-face class, no? Kahit para sa akin kahit kunwari 30 kayo sa classroom o edi hatiin siya sa kung may 3 beses kayong or hatiin siya sa half, edi 15 15. Papasok sa first day of 15 na students ang papasok, 'di ba? So next day ang second batch naman 15 students ulit. So I think that is more no, convincing or more parang effective na way para matuto. Lalo na sa ating physical education. Sa atin dapat meron tayong social interaction, no? Dapat nakikita natin yung isa't isa face to face na ginagawa natin yung sport. Face to face nakikita natin, no? Pag sa ganito lang, ore, yan, papanood mo sa YouTube or online class, pinapapanood sa inyo ng teacher nyo, papanoorin nyo, gagawin nyo sa bahay nyo lang. That's why we should have limited face-to-face class na pupunta tayo sa school, sa oras na binigay sa atin, no? Para ma-experience naman natin yung lagi lang natin napapanood sa online class, no? We should have experience. Dapat magkaroon tayo ng experience sa bawat sports, no? Hindi lang dapat napapanood natin. So that's all. Thank you, Mr. Leonard Harden.
I agree with what Catherine Gracial, what Miss Diwa said. I think limited face to face, because in my case, I have a lot of anxiety attacks, and I am diagnosed by, I am diagnosed depression last 2020. Like actually November 2020, I've been diagnosed to have an depression. And I think a student need to socialize. Kahit anong course pa yan, student need to socialize. Student need to experience socializing. And if we continue this, bababa at bababa yung bababa at bababa yung mga batang mag-aaral. And if we continue this kind of approach of in education like this, that we are performing through online, we are swimming, we are experiencing swimming in online, that we need to have the pillow on us for us do the to do the to do the swimming, any style of swimming. And I think maraming naging estudyante yung napapagod na ganito ang sistema, because hindi naman lahat ng student has a good quality of internet connection and good quality of phones and laptops. They also need to have money for them to have a load, to connect and to do their activities. And that is so hard kasi hindi naman lahat ng parents and hindi naman lahat ng estudyante ay may pera para may panload lagi at magpakabit ng wifi. And I think that limited face-to-face and with the combination of online learning is effective. Not only online learning, we need unlimited face-to-face, because there is a laboratory, there is these activities that we need to socialize. And I think limited face-to-face is good. Sa kagaya nga ng sabi ni Catherine, pwede mong sa 30 students, pwede mong hatiin maging 15. And those students, papasok lang sila. Maybe 2 to, pwede silang maging shifting. I think that is more effective. Pwede silang maging shifting. May pang umaga hanggang 12. 12 lunch, 1 p.m. mag-start, then hanggang 5. I think that is the very good thing. I think that is the very good approach of learning in this time of pandemic. Kasi and what I have a share, mag-share na din ako, and what I watch in Netflix about the documentary about pandemic, in this pandemic, which is the COVID-19. In US, they do that. They do the limited face-to-face. And there is only a time that there have a shifting of classes that they do for the student to experience the ambience of school and the pressure of the buildings of school. Thank you.
Okay, that's all. Thank you for everyone for your share your thoughts and ideas. Okay, let's proceed. I think all of us we prepared some advocacy. Okay, let's proceed. Um In Mr. Leonard, what is your advocacy?
Wait. My advocacy is um, we need to learn how to create a clear focus about objectives and physical benefits of fitness sports while empowering our students to be their best. Hashtag power of PE and sports. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Miss Catherine, what is your advocacy?
Yes, advocacy is we need to educate people how important physical education and sport is, and we also need to make a better plan and programs in physical education and sports to our community. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Jericho.
Yan, my advocacy is we education will continue providing and giving learning for every student and every people around the world. We'll do our best to enhance our teaching methods and keeping our student physically and mentally healthy because I believe that healthy is not an option. It is a priority that every student need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Miss Mary Joy.
So my advocacy is that create a plan for controlling and manage for the safety of people and to also keep the fire alive of physical education and sports here in the Philippines.
Okay, last, here is my advocacy. We need to do something that everyone will be interested in doing physical activities, especially in athletes. We try to join or join in sports so that we had a knowledge and also the we know the importance of physical education in terms of in sports. Okay? Lastly, your scores is dahil na paliwanag nyo ng maayos, parehas both sides will get a 20 points. So, congratulations. Um, nakakatuwa na, yung mga sinasabi niyo. Okay, for our hashtags, okay, sino ang pwedeng screen shot? Sino ang pwedeng mag-screenshot? Go guys, screenshot niyo na. Wait lang. Naka-blurred yung iba, tanggalin niyo muna yung blurred para kitaan. Sino mag-screenshot? Okay, okay, okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, that's all in our discussion. Um, Dito na po nagtatapos ang ating discussion for this afternoon. Thank you for your participation, and that's all. Thank you po.